So, modern gaming. In order to play any modern game, you need at least full DirectX 12 support, preferably 6 gigs of VRAM, but at a very bare minimum, at least 4, okay? This GPU covers just about the bare minimum for modern games, and it's the cheapest one at that. That covers, all the requirements. Let's get on with the intro, shall we? So guys, if you've already guessed what this is a Quadro M2000, okay? It was released in the hip year of 2015, which is, 11 years ago. And it was one of the first Quadros to support DirectX 12, okay? Like the full feature level, 12.1. So yeah, guys, in terms of specs of this thing, it's got 768 CUDA cores, 48 TMUs, 32 ROPs. It's got 4 gigs of VRAM running through 128-bit bus. It's GDDR5, so it's not like that crappy GDDR3. And yeah, it's got 4 display outputs. This thing was a pretty decent Quadro back in the day. It was basically a Quadro version of the GTX 950, okay? Actually, there were no 4GB models other than this. So basically, this is just a 950 with no 6-pin power connector, because all of them had 6 pins, and 4 gigs of VRAM. So yeah, this will fit into any full-size PC, okay? In fact, if you take off this bracket and use a bit of dremeling, then you might be able to actually get this to fit into a small form factor PC. So yeah, this thing, it'll fit in just about everything, okay? Thanks to its very low power draw, as you can see here. No 6-pin. And yeah, the core design of this is actually pretty cool. It's pretty similar to my Quadro P2000, which I'm pretty sure a review would have been out, but currently isn't out yet at the time, when I record this video. It's like, I think the 25th of February, so yeah. Yeah, guys, this thing, it's a pretty cool GPU, okay? It costed me only $35, okay? And that includes shipping. It was only $29, actually, without shipping, so yeah. This is like one of the best $30 GPUs you can get. I mean, I guess I was able to score that, 484 gig, which would absolutely destroy this. It's like a 970 tier card, 970, 980 tier card. This is a 950 tier card. It's literally, this is just a 950 with 4 gigs of VRAM and no 6-pin, okay, like I said. So yeah, guys. Oh, and also I tried overclocking this, but like all Quadros of this generation, it's not overclockable. In fact, all generation Quadros are not overclockable, I'm pretty sure. Because, yeah, I mean, maybe some Fermi ones, but I'm not sure, okay? I couldn't figure out how to overclock this or my P2000. So yeah, actually guys, since they're both the 2000 tier of Quadros, I'm actually do a video where I compare this to the P2000 and see how well, like the generational improvement was, although that thing has 5 gigs of VRAM, so yeah, that's already a plus. And also it's got 160-bit bus width, so yeah, this thing it's pretty decent, It's got 4 display outputs. This thing could game at its time, and even today it still probably can launch most games and play them at like 720p low or something, which, yeah, like games like Cyberpunk, 720p low, perfectly fine this card. But yeah, guys, anyways, I've already talked enough about this card, okay, and how good it theoretically is, especially for $30. But yeah, guys, anyways, let's go with the benchmarks, alright? As I know that's what you're here for. You want to see if this GPU is worth it for $30 on the used market, okay? For those really hyper-budget PCs, especially since this thing has full DirectX 12 support, and even some decent Vulkan support too. But yeah, guys, let's go on with the benchmarks, shall we? Starting off in the very deep end here, we have Cyberpunk 2077 running at 720p with the lowest setting selected, and the game is running alright. Keep in mind, this is a mid-range Quadro from 2015 running a AAA game from 2020 that has seen a ton of remasters. At 720p, lowest, we saw averages of 38 FPS, with 1% hitting just below that, being 33. If you want to play at 1080p, you would need a little dash of FSR. Also, these settings were the lowest, not the low preset, which leaves some things like local shadows enabled. This game did not look great, but at least it ran on this 11-year-old Quadro that barely supports the full DirectX 12 seat. By barely, I mean it was one of the first Quadros to actually support it, and one of the first graphics cards in general. On to the next benchmark. Next up, we have Minecraft Java running at 1080p with 13 chunks of render distance, the fancy settings selected, and the Silder's extreme volumetric lighting shaders. The result here is much better than the one the R7450 pulled off with the light shaders. At these settings, the Quadro M2000 pulls an average of 34 FPS with 1% of the setting 20, which is pretty decent. Keep in mind, this is an 11-year-old Quadro that was never meant to game. If you want a smooth 60 FPS experience, you would have to drop to the light version of these shaders, which still looks better than vanilla, but has low quality shadows and lighting in general. You could use any of the shader settings in between, like medium or high, or just use a different shader pack in general. Without shaders, this game could see upwards of 1000 FPS. Overall, Minecraft Java runs like a beast on this $35 Quadro. On to the next benchmark. Next up, with a very demanding driving simulator, we have BeamNG Drive, which can be very intensive. We ran the game with the normal preset as it fits comfortably in our 4GB VRAM limit and runs really well. At 1080p normal, the M2000 pulls an average of a perfect 60 FPS. I'm not kidding, guys. The average literally came out to be 60 FPS, with 1% lows down to 51. More intensive maps, like West Coast USA, will stress the GPU more and bring the FPS down to the mid to high 30s. More traffic will also hurt the GPU as there's not much VRAM for a lot of cars to be loaded in at the same time. There were a few initial stutters, but that is presumably due to the fault of the game loading in assets for the first time. Overall, BeamNG runs damn good on this $35 11-year-old Quadro. Don't ask me why I said damn good. On to the next benchmark. Counter-Strike 2 here, the most popular esports game in the world, and is running great. The 4GB of VRAM here is not a limit, as this game really only needs 2GB of VRAM at these settings, which are 1080p low with 2x MSAA. I want to use 8x for the best experience, but it brought the FPS down to the 90 to 100 range of frame rates. Meanwhile, at 2x MSAA, we saw averages of 118 FPS, with 1% saying just below that being 93. The experience is the bare minimum for a competitive player, as they would want 120 FPS on average for a solid experience. If you want to see around 130 to 40 FPS, you could drop anti-aliasing entirely, but the game looks meh like that. You could also drop to 720p, but for me, 118 FPS on average is very smooth and runs really well. Overall, Counter-Strike 2 runs pretty darn good on this budget Quadro. On to the next benchmark. Next up, with the remastered Legend, we have GTA 5 Enhanced here running at 1080p with the minimum preset, and the game is running fine. The 4GB of VRAM was not a limit at all at 1080p minimum, as these settings are for 3GB GPUs. This game could benefit from overclock, but unfortunately, just like the Quadro P2000, the clock speeds are bias locked. Averages of 55 FPS with 1% at 48 are really decent. Since we are at 1080p minimum, Jack's Hill and all the other areas will not affect the performance much, if at all, so this is a very consistent and smooth experience. Overall, GTA 5 Enhanced almost runs at a smooth 60 FPS on average on this old but gold Quadro. On to the next benchmark. Hollow Knight Silksong here, one of the most influential and best indie games released this year by far, is running on this Quadro just fine. At 1080p with the max setting selected, the Quadro scores an average of 304 FPS with 1% lows down to 217, which is really good. This is expected though, as this is a 2D game, but will use the crap out of a 5090 and output 5-digit FPS numbers. On this Quadro though, you will see FPS in the hundreds, even at 4K, and at 1080p, you will get an insanely high refresh rate experience. Different areas with different effects enabled will impact the frame rate, but it will stay above 100 FPS at all times. Overall, Hollow Knight and Hollow Knight Silksong will run perfectly fine in this Quadro, and on a lot of older GPUs as well, as this game is really optimized, but then it gets a 2D title. On to the next benchmark. Next up, we have Fallout 4 here, which is an old but infamous AAA title running at 1080p with the high settings selected, and the game is running alright. At these settings, the Quadro M2000 pulls an average of 41 FPS, with 1% down to 30 due to the infamous Bethesda stutter. I still have no clue how the R7 managed to cure the stutters for itself. More intensive open areas of the game will hit the M2000 harder and cause the stutters to worsen. Overall, the Quadro M2000 is usable, but not as great as the P2000, which is because it's getting below 50 FPS on average, and at below 50 FPS on average, the stutters will hit even harder. On to the second to last benchmark. Second to last benchmark here, we have Wreckfest, which I would consider a AAA game, as it is designed by a big studio and has good graphics. It's also running at 1080p with the medium preset. The 4GB of VRAM is not a limit here, as this game does not need much VRAM unless you use a really big map and a lot of AI opponents, which we're using a lot of AI opponents, but not really a big map. At 1080p medium, the M2000 achieves an average of 81 FPS with 1% lows down to 63. This result may vary from map to map and race to race, as different amounts of AI opponents will affect the frame rate. This GPU is perfectly usable for online competitive use, as the average is above 60 FPS. If you wanted to go to 1440p, this card barely got 40 FPS at 1440p low, so not great for 1440p on this game. Overall, Wreckfest runs pretty well on this 11-year-old Quadro. On to the last benchmark. Last up, we have Marvel Rivals, which is the most demanding game on here, as Oblivion Remastered failed to load. This is a UE5 game, so do not expect this to be playable at all at native 1080p. Speaking of settings, the game is running at 1080p with the FSR set to Ultra Performance mode, which is not great. And we also had to use the lowest settings, which are called Performance mode. At 1080p Performance mode with FSR set to Ultra Performance, my brain's getting kind of confused here because there's a lot of Performance mode and Ultra Performance crap going on here. So basically, FSR Ultra Performance, basically the game's running at 360p upscaled. And we saw meh averages of 52 FPS with 1% lows down to 43. This was during a practice match too, as if I joined a real match, we would see around 10 FPS less, and I'd be banned because I would leave too early. That's why we're doing all this benchmarking on the practice rounds. Like I said earlier, a real match is more intensive, and especially the ones with more players, as there are more superpower effects being loaded in, like, you know, like the shark thing has like that big, like, spinny tidal wave thing. Overall, if this game was more optimized, this card would probably have been able to run this game at full 1080p instead of 360p upscaled. Still though, barely pass on Marvel Rivals, very technically. On to the conclusion. Oh, and also before we get on with the conclusion, I just wanted to say that Doom Eternal failed to launch for some reason. But yeah, on to the conclusion. In conclusion, how does this card perform for $35? Well, alright. Do note, however, at the same price, you can get an RX 474 gig, which would destroy this GPU in every scenario. But the advantage of this GPU is not the performance or the VRAM, it's the form factor. Just like the Quadro P2000, this GPU will fit into any full-size office PC and turn it into a gaming beast. Well, not really beast, but you get the point. This does perform very closely to the GTX 950, as this is just a reused GTX 950 die. I'm not joking, you can search it up, exact same specs, with 2 more gigs of VRAM, and it's power limited, as all the 950s, I couldn't find a single one that didn't have a 6-pin. This performs on par with an RX 560 if you're going to compare it to an AMD card, has 4 gigs of VRAM, and no PSU requirement. As long as the PC turns on, you can add this GPU. Also, compared to the 950, the 2 gigs of more VRAM will definitely help a lot, and especially in newer games that use more VRAM like Marvel Rivals. This, for $35, this performs better than the RX 560, has about 60% the power of a 470, and needs no PSU connector, and it's single slot. I would say it's a win for this GPU, okay? Thanks for watching, and please join my Discord server, as it's close to dead. And also, please like and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Yeah, the Discord server is kind of dead, so please join it. Alright, have a nice day, and see ya.